everybody to the Single and Stiletto Show. I'm Suzanne Oshima, and I'm a matchmaker and dating coach at Dream Bachelor and Bachelorette, and I'm also the founder of Single and Stilettos. Today we have on our show Des O'Connor, and he's a relationship coach and success mentor based in London. I'm so excited to have him here today because today we're talking about don't just show up on a date, because ladies, I know you do that all the time. You just show up on a date and say, oh, do we have chemistry? Am I attracted to him? But that Des says that's the wrong thing to do, and we're going to find out why. But before we find out why, Des, I would love for you to tell our audience a little bit about you.
Hi everybody, my name is Des O'Connor, and I work with single professional women on how they can easily, quickly and effortlessly find and attract the right man for them, and also to keep him as well. I have lots of weddings that have already been created from my tips, from seminars, workshops, one-on-one sessions, as well as webinars as well. And I've had a wedding last year, which I was the only person that made a speech there as well. So I just work with women that want to take immediate action to find the right man into their life.
Awesome. Well, one of the things that they need to take action on is not just showing up on a date. So tell us why, Des.
Well, one of the things that needs to happen is that the woman needs to have a plan in place when they're going out on the date. Why are you on this date? What are you trying to achieve? And it's not about you looking beautiful and you just sitting there in front of the man and just sitting there and just having a light-hearted conversation. Because if he's very clued up and you're trying to strike a conversation with him and you're giving him one-word answers, yes, no, and not elaborating on that, and also not asking him questions about himself, showing interest in what he does as well. Because this is your like an interview process, which it is in a way. You're both meeting each other in the first time. And there's one thing that we cannot do is change a first impression. Once you have that first impression, if, for example, you say something, you start going on about your ex that's negative, he's going to pick up on that and he's most probably going to run a mile, because to us, that's going to feel that, there's some unresolved issues there. So elaborate and ask him open questions. Make him feel that you're really interested in, because us men, believe it or not, we like to talk just as much as you women, but we like to talk about ourselves, especially if we've achieved something really fantastic in that area. So if we've had a promotion at work, just ask him, how did that make you feel when you got your promotion? And he'll tell you how he felt. Why did you choose that career? And then he'll tell you, I choose that career because, my dad did it and I'm just following the family tradition. And if he's got his own business, just ask him, how long have you had your business for, and where do you see that business in 5 years, and get him to speak about that. Ask him where he's been on holiday and why he likes those countries that he's been to as well. Ask him also, what was the last book you read? And that will tell you a key thing about himself as well. What books do you like to read? And if he says, well, I don't really like books, well, what magazines do you read? And also find out, does he take part in any personal development? Which is a key thing there as well. Because I say to a lot of my clients, when you're meeting a man, ask him, how does he personally develop himself? Because that's so important. And I know in the States it's big out there, but over here in the UK, it's such a small thing over here. People not into personal development. There's not a lot of that happening over here. But I think if the woman asks these questions and has a plan in place, it makes the date more interesting. And it's just not about her just sitting there and looking beautiful and sitting there, because he's going to want to have a dialogue with you on that first date.
Well, that is true. A woman shouldn't just sit there and look beautiful, but I'm going to take it to the other end of the spectrum of what she should also not do. And that is, because I hear complaints from men all the time, is that she talked way too much and all I did was sit there and listen to her the entire time, talk about herself. But like Des said...
Have a plan.
And Des is laughing because he's been on those dates, right? Where the woman would not stop talking and you were like...
Put my headphones on.
You were like, somebody shoot me, right?
Just want to pause her with a remote control.
So, but ladies, it's important for you to see Dez's reaction because it's really how men feel on a date when you go from one end of the spectrum to the other where you're just talking way too much. It's a huge turnoff to a man. So you want to have that conversation where it flows and you ask those key important questions that you know whether you want to keep going out on a second or third date with him if it should come to that, right? So my question to you is, because I hear this all the time and sometimes it drives me crazy, is that sometimes women will say, well, we didn't have any chemistry. We didn't have any chemistry. He was really nice. Everything was great about him, but there was no chemistry. Do you think that women put too much emphasis on quote unquote chemistry?
I think they do. I think, especially what they define as chemistry as well. I think, listen, we've all been there where we've met somebody for the first time and there wasn't that much chemistry in the beginning. And then what happens then when we got to know them and got to move them, it's most probably been the most powerful and best relationships in that period of time that's happened. I mean, for example, myself, the woman that I ended up marrying, I was divorced, but she wasn't even a type I would have went for. And I ended up marrying her because she had different attributes about her that I found attractive and appealing. Mm-hmm. And like I said before, most women want everything ticked now. They want everything in that box now. And relationships and dating, it doesn't work like that. You need to nurture it. You need to work on it. It's like a plant. You need to nurture it. You need to put water in it. You need to enable it to grow and nurture and get to understand each other. Because all it takes is you may need help one day. And you may not have that chemistry, and that man just is there for you. Bang. You instantly, that chemistry is boom. You start having strong feelings for him, and all of a sudden, you get to focus on what he can provide for you. And as you have that connection, and all of a sudden, you fall in love with this guy that you didn't think you would have fallen in love with before in the beginning. So it's all about taking your time, taking him through the process, and just taking a step back. Go on as many dates as you can and just sit back and just assess the situation. Look how he treats staff when you go out in a restaurant and things like that. Is he manageable and well groomed? And is he manageable to the waiter and people like that? Is he on the phone when you're in the restaurant and things like that? Does he have manners? Does he have respect? And also, if you really want to find out, listen to how he speaks about his mother as well, which is a key point as well.
Right. And I want to go a step further, and I want to say it's more about how he treats the woman, too, on a date. Because I hear all too often a woman will be like, he was great, he treated me well, we had a lot in common, but I just didn't feel any chemistry. And it's like, sometimes chemistry is not that important. Like Des said, sometimes you just need to get to know somebody. So my question to you, Des, if a woman's not feeling the chemistry on a first date, should she go out on a second date with a guy?
Well, if she finds him attractive, then yes. If there comes a point where, and I know that comes a cut-off point where you go out on a first date and I don't want to see that person again. We've all been there. Nowhere on this earth do I want to see that person again. But if this person has potential, or you yourself may not be in a good mood that week. You might have other factors going on that you're not really into dating that week, and it didn't go down too well. But in yourself whether you would like to meet him or not. And we know that if it's a no-go, then no. But if you think something, let's do something different. If you went out on the first date, it was for a wine bar or something like that, or a coffee, maybe go on the next date where it's more adventurous, it's more entertaining, where it's more interactive, like ice skating, or go to the theatre. That's something that you both like to see. What usually helps is if you go to see something that's really humorous, like a crazy film that you're both are passionate about, because when you're laughing and you're having a great time, you'd be surprised on the way home, actually, that was a fantastic night. I never thought that you such a funny kind of person, and we had a rapport going, and then all of a sudden the chemistry just clicks. Sometimes that's all it takes, because you're not going to get all the rapport and all those factors in the first date, and it needs to be worked on. And most people that get married, some people that say they get married, say, I never thought I would have married that person in the first couple of dates.
That is very true. So what I'm hearing is, if you're not sure, and unless it was like, oh no, forget it, I'm never going out with them again, you should go out on a second date, ladies.
Yeah.
And I completely agree, because it drives me crazy when they're like, he was great in every other way, but now I don't want to go out. So ladies, give him a second chance, and you never know, you may meet the right man. So
That's
Des,
right.
these were great tips. So tell our audience how they can find you.
You can find me from www.icanfindyoutherightman.com, or just search for me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Des O'Connor, DESOCONNOR. icanfindyouTheRightMan.com is my up-and-coming book in June over here in London, and it'll be coming over to the States as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for joining us on the Single and Stiletto Show. If you like our show, it's available both in video format and podcast format. If you like to view the videos, you can go to singleandstilettos.com. And if you'd like to get the podcast, you can download it from iTunes. If you'd like to get our free ebook on the 3 secrets guaranteed to attract any man, and it's actually based on scientific research, you can click right here on the video, or you can go to singleandstilettos.com.